Hello friends, welcome to this new lecture. The topic is on your screen, Kingship, Governance and Law System, and we are going to discuss it is in the context of epics. So that's why traces from the epics. Now the agenda for today's discussion is based on certain queries. What do we mean by epic era? Normally we refer to the epics, to the Indian epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata. Particularly these two epics we have taken into consideration in this particular lecture. So is there any ideas of kingship in the epics that we have to explore? Then what are the illustrations of ideal kings and their duties? What are some specific terminology of governance in epics, if there are some, then we will discuss. Was there any council of ministers as on the pattern of the modern, you see that governance and system of political administration and so on. Was there any law system during epics era? And what are the noteworthy kings and kingdoms during epic era? So these are the things we are going to discuss. Now epic era in Indian knowledge traditions, what does it mean? The epic era in Indian knowledge traditions broadly refers to the period when the great epics or Mahakavyas, popularly known as, particularly the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, were composed. So Ramayana and Mahabharata have a very special place, not only in Indian socio-cultural context, but also they are the treasure of the part of the world literature, and it also depicts the entire Indian culture and Indian tradition, philosophy, dharma, darshan, samaj, everything that is influenced by Ramayana and Mahabharata. So we are going to discuss all these aspects. They were systematized and transmitted through both oral and written traditions. Time span is roughly from 1500 BC to 500 BC. That was the period of the later Vedic period or later Vedic era. And you see that Ramayana is basically concerned with the Kurukshetra war is the main theme, and out of the Mahabharata is basically concerned with the Kurukshetra war, and Ramayana is basically concerned with the battle between Lord Rama and Ravana. So these two epics influence the Indian society and culture to the deepest aspect. This period marks the transition from the Vedic age to the classical age, the era in which they were composed, when myth, philosophy, ethics and social order began to blend in poetic and narrative forms. Kurukshetra war is one of the examples. Both they have the historical evidences as well. They are these different episodes of the Kurukshetra war is discussed and depicted in Mahabharata in a socio-political, socio-cultural context, blend of ethics, blend of morality and so many other aspects of socio-cultural life of Indians. Mahabharata is popularly, we can just take into consideration the book of humanity. For the special purpose, Mahabharata is the longest epic in the world, composed in Sanskrit by Krishnadevaya Vyas, popularly known as Ved Vyas. It contains about 1 lakh verses, popularly known as the shlokas, and divided into the 18 parvs. The book chapters or the sections, normally known what in Western context they are known as the Canto 1, Canto 2, Canto 3, as Paradise Lost by Milton. On the same pattern, or you see that the pattern of the literature is like that the chapters are divided into the books. So in Mahabharata they are known as the Parvas, often described as itihas, meaning thus indeed it happened. That's the meaning of the term itihas in knowledge traditions of India. And it is also called the fifth Veda for its moral, philosophical, social, ethical and spiritual teachings. And what is the nature of the epic basically of Mahabharata? The great epic progresses combining history, mythology, philosophy, politics and ethics. And you see this is the largest literature, largest Mahakavya. So many volumes are there. One of the very popular publication of Mahabharata in a complete way is published by the Gita Press, Gorakhpur. It describes human life in all its dimensions: joy, sorrow, duty, greed, love, war, peace and different other dimensions. Often it is said that whatever is elsewhere, that is here in Mahabharata, and what is not here, that is existing nowhere. So the content of Mahabharata covers a wide variety of issues and affairs of life, and also beyond the life in a larger than life scale. It reflects the social and political life of ancient India, not just a story of war, but a spiritual journey of humanity. So, main storyline of the epic says that two royal families were there, the Kauravas, they were 100 brothers, and Pandavas, the 5 brothers, descent from the Kuru dynasty. The story is so popular that you all are acquainted, but just for the sake of understanding the kingship and other aspects, we just have a glimpse of the story in a brief way. There was conflict over the throne of Hastinapur. It leads to the great war at Kurukshetra. So major characters in Mahabharata, just few characters which are very prominent, we have mentioned here. Pandavas, basically they were the 5 brothers. Yudhishthir was the eldest. Then Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, Sahdev. And then Kauravas were the 100 brothers. Eldest was the Duryodhan, and Dushasan, led by Duryodhana. And then Kauravas, the leader or the eldest brother was Duryodhan, and Dushasan was also one of the prominent Kauravas. And these played very important role in the Kurukshetra war also. And then Krishna, Lord Krishna plays very deciding factors or deciding roles in setting the theme as well as setting the Kurukshetra war and winding it up. And he is basically associated with the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that is one of the chapters of Mahabharata, and that's also a separate book out of the Mahabharata battle. And it is based on the sermons or the Upadesh or the teaching given to the Arjun in the battlefield. So, Lord Krishna is the divine guide and charioteer to Arjuna, and he is also depicted in this epic as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And here lies the spiritual aspect of this entire story. The Bhagavad Gita, a dialogue between Krishna and Arjun, appears in the Bhishma Parva. 18 Parvas are there. The war ends with victory for the Pandavas, but at great human cost. That is the learning from this great battle. So, major teachings of the Mahabharata would include number one, the Dharma, righteous duty. Central message is follow your Dharma even in difficulty. Every character faces moral test. Yudhishthir's truth, Arjuna's duty, Karna's loyalty, and Dharma is contextual, not rigid. Then karma and detachment is another teaching. Bhagavad Gita teaches do your duty without attachment to results. The very famous shloka is karmande vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So you should concentrate on performing your actions. You don't have to worry about your fruits because that's not in your hand. True success lies in selfless action, that is Nishkam Karm. And here, through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives the message of the 3 yogas, Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. We have also discussed in some other lectures. Then leadership and ethics is another teaching. Ideal kingship through Rajdharm, that is duties of the rulers. Duryodhana's arrogance contrasts with Yudhishthir's justice. It also teaches humility, forgiveness, and self control. And equality and wisdom is also another very important teaching of Mahabharata. Eklavya episode questions social barriers. That's why the multi dimensions of society are there. Eklavya's episode also compels you to think in different directions, the discrimination and its place in the society, discrimination on the basis of caste or the lower birth, and so on. So these questions were addressed by the epic also in contemporary society. Vidura, born of a servant woman, is depicted as the voice of wisdom. Futility of greed and war is one of the very important messages. The war brings destruction and loss, no real victor, warns against ego, pride, and greed of for power. So, futility of this all destruction in the name of false ego or the pride or royalship or and so on. That's the great message of Mahabharata. Then we come to the final discussion of kingship, governance, and law system as on the basis of Mahabharata, what it provides the content. Then in the second part of this lecture, within the same lecture, in the second section, we will discuss kingship, governance and law system according to Ramayana. So first we concentrate on the Mahabharata, what it says about kingship. The Mahabharata is not only an epic of war and ethics, but also a treatise on political philosophy, statecraft and law. And here we see different parvs are there. So some Shanti parv is there and Bhishma parv is there. So basically in the three main sections or three main chapters of Mahabharata, we find the traces of kingship, governance and law system in Shanti Parva, book 12, and Anushasan Parv, that is book 13, and Sabha Parv, that is book 2nd, for political institutions and diplomacy, that is devoted to this content. So, it presents a comprehensive theory of governance, that is called the Rajdharma, that combines morality, justice, duty and administration. So, kingship, what does it mean according to Mahabharata? Rajya and Rajdharma. It depicts the divine and ethical basis of kingship. The king Raja is considered Nardeva, which means God in human form. His duty is like that of Lord Krishna. So, the kingship theory, it was also, we find during medieval India that the impact of Mahabharata and ancient Indian texts was also upon the sultans of Delhi Sultanate, because Balban also uses the term Zill-e-Ilahi, that is the shadow of God on earth. Islam doesn't permit this kind of theory that any human being can be the shadow of God, because there is no concept of shadow of God in the Islam. But Balban takes the instances from the Mahabharata. That's why during Mughal period also we find that Akbar also, the Akbar's courtier Abul Fasal also called Akbar as Farre Ezdi, that is the representative of God on earth or the shadow of God on earth. So, this is the continuity of Indian traditions in the political arena. That's why I just remember, so I just quoted it. So, we see that in Shanti Parva, in chapter 58, the king is the protector of the world, created to uphold dharma. It is the duty of the king to protect the subject, and he is also considered as the protector of the world, as the God is the protector of the entire universe. Kingship is not hereditary privilege but a sacred duty to maintain order, protect subjects and punish the wicked. Another aspect of kingship is the purpose, for what purpose the king is there. So, protection of life and property of subjects was prime duty of the king. Enforcement of law and justice, that is dand or punishment, maintenance of dharma and prevention of adharma, if something is going wrong. So, the duty of the king is to prevent it, to check it, and promotion of prosperity and peace. Then moral foundation of kingship was based on dharma, arth and nyaya. Bhishma's counsel to Yudhishthir was in the battlefield of Kurukshetra during Shanti Parva. It emphasizes self-control, impartiality and truth as kingly virtues. So, Bhishma character is like his Pitama. So, he was bestowed with boon, that is the Vardhan, that he can choose his time of death by virtue of his own will. So, that is why he, in the very beginning, is just lying on the bed of the arrows, and he is just telling the truth of the futility of the war and so many other mystical teachings of the life in the form of philosophy and spirituality to all the actors of Mahabharata, whether he is Karna or he is Bhishma or he is Bhim or Arjun or if anyone is there. So, in the evening, after the war is over, everybody reaches to Bhishma Pitama, and Bhishma Pitama used to teach them the teachings of life. So, that's why this is the peculiar characteristic of Mahabharata through the Bhishma Pitama. Lessons of life is also there. Qualities of an ideal king on the basis of this kingship principles in Mahabharata: self-control. Examples are also given here in Shanti Parma. Bhishma warns Yudhishthir after war. Then justice, king should judge without partiality or emotion. Yudhishthir's refusal to lie in dice game episode. Then compassion and truth, rule should be guided or rule should be guided by Satya and and Karuna. Rama in Ramayana and Yudhishthir in Mahabharata, idealized or ideal kings are there. Then wisdom or buddhi is one of the very important characteristics or qualities of king. Councils of wise ministers and advisors are essential. For example, Vidur and Bhishma as counselors to Dhritarashtra. Then courage and valor is another quality to defend dharma and the state. For example, Arjuna's duty as Kshatriya in Bhagavad Gita. And then accountability, responsibility. A king should always be ready. King's power is limited by dharma and public welfare. Yudhishthir's repentance post-war, in the post-war episode, he is repenting on this great massacre. Nothing and nobody was there in the battlefield, so whom to rule. So that was the repentance of Yudhishthir. This is the accountability. Yudhishthir honestly takes the responsibility of this battle. Then structure of governance, what Mahabharata says, council of ministers or the Mantri Parishad, this is given as one of the provisions. A king was assisted by vice councillors, ministers, generals, priests and judges. Vidur is the symbol of political wisdom and morality, that is called the Vidur Niti. The king must consult but not be ruled by his ministers, it is said in Shanti Parva. Then administrative divisions. The empire divided into Janpadas, provinces, and the Vishayas, that is districts, under the governors. Sabha Parv describes the royal assembly, that is Sabha or the court of the king. It was a center of political and judicial deliberations. Then third level of the structure was military administration. It described vividly in Udyoga and Bhishma Parvas. Well-organized armies with divisions, infantry, cavalry, chariots and elephants. Chaturang Sena was there, that was the concept. Dronacharya, Bhishma and Kripacharya exemplify the role of commanders as both warriors and teachers. So this was the peculiarity. And regarding the law and justice or the Nyaya or Dandaniti, Dand, law or punishment. And Danda was basically Dand in Sanskrit, it refers to a rod of discipline. It is the foundation of order and justice, and it is also called in Western term the scepter, iron rod or the rod made of gold. Always a king holds it, that is the symbol of the king's temporal power. In Shanti Parv chapter 68, it is said that without Danda, there is chaos. With Dand, rightly used, there is dharma. So this is the power of the king, that he maintains and the justice prevails because of the efficiency of the king, if he has the power to punish and power to do justice. Then king applies dand impartially to protect dharma, not for vengeance or any kind of animosity or for any kind of revenge. Types of justice was, there were different types of justice like Vyavhar, judicial procedures, trial, witness and punishment. Then Achar, that is customary laws, local customs to be respected. Then Rajdharma, king's duty to maintain law and order. The concept of natural justice like Yuktivada appears in Vidur's advice, no punishment should exceed the offense. This was the principle of Vidur Niti. Then equality before law. Even a prince or priest was subject to law. Legal reasoning and moral protest was allowed. For example, very important instance of Draupadi's questions in the dice episode. We see here that Draupadi in the Sabha episode, questions in the dice episode to the Yudhishthir. Did you lose yourself before you lost me? When she was brought to the Sabha, and because Yudhishthir lost everything, then Kauravas says to them, Duryodhan says to them that you have your wife and you may just put your wife on the dice. Then Draupadi was brought to the Sabha, and it was intentionally done by the Kaurava side. So, but Draupadi was courageous enough to ask the question to the Yudhishthir because he was Dharmaraj. She asked that, did you lose yourself before you lost me? If you have lost yourself, then you are a slave to the Duryodhan. How you can have a right to put me on the dice, because you have lost all your rights. So this single question challenged the legality of the gamble, as it implied that if Yudhishthir had already become a slave himself, he had no right to stake his wife who he no longer owned. So her question highlighted his loss of self and agency, which rendered him incapable of gambling her away. Then again, political ethics and diplomacy, what Vidur Niti says, a collection of political aphorism and ethical precepts in Udyoga Parva. It teaches that a king who ignores wise counsels destroys his kingdom. It stresses truth, patience, and impartial administration. Then Krishna's diplomacy is also there. Krishna's peace mission to Hastinapur before the war, classic example of diplomacy, Sam, Dam, Dand and Bheda. He tried all these four aspects of diplomacy. It advocates negotiation before war, early reflection of real politic and ethics combination. Then Bhishma's Rajdharma. So these three are the very fundamental and very basic principles of diplomacy as suggested by Mahabharata. In Bhishma's Rajdharma, after the war, Bhishma lying on the bed of arrows teaches Yudhishthir the duties of kingship. He says that ruler must be like the sun, sustaining life through warmth, yet burning away evil in Shanti Parva, section 56. Then we come to Ramayana, the book of ideal life and moral order. Ramayana was composed by Valmiki in Sanskrit version, and we also find its Awadhi version in 16th century by Goswami Tulsidas. It was in the vernacular. Ramayana is one of the two great Indian epics composed by sage Valmiki in Sanskrit. It contains about 24,000 verses divided into 7 kand, that is called the books. In Mahabharata, the chapters are called Parva, but in Ramayana, these chapters are called the Kandas. The word Ramayana means the journey or deeds of Lord Rama. Considered Adi Kavya, it is also considered as the Adi Kavya because one of the earliest book. The first great poem, Mahakavya of India, it blends history, legend, ethics, philosophy and devotion. And you see that almost in all the languages Ramayana is available at global level. So the nature of the epic says this is an epic or Mahakavya combining poetic excellence, religious devotion and ethical instructions. It describes the life of Lord Rama, who is portrayed as Maryada Purushottam, representing as benchmark of Indian spiritual and social values of an ideal man. Then Ramayana is both literary and didactic. It teaches how to live a righteous life, that is called dharma, often called the Veda of human conduct. And other characters of Ramayana are also the representative symbols of Indian values. Now, you see that the Ramayana or the Ram Katha is divided into the 7 chapters. Balkand, where birth of Ram, education under Vishwamitra and marriage with Sita, they are described. Then in Ayodhya Kand, Ram's exile for 14 years due to Kaikeyi's demand and Bharata's devotion. Aranya Kand, where life in forest, Sita's abduction by Ravan. And Kishkinda Kand, alliance with Hanuman and Sugriv, search for Sita. And then Sundar Kand, Hanuman's journey to Lanka. And then Yudh Kand, where battle between Rama and Ravan took place and victory of good over evil. And then Uttarkand, that is return to Ayodhya, coronation and later exile of Sita. So the entire theme of the Ramayana, the Ram Katha is divided into these 7 kands. And then what are the major teachings of Ramayana? Because this is the book of life again. Dharma, righteousness or the what is the moral ideals of life. Central message is dharma is the foundation of life and every character acts according to his or her dharma. So few examples of the characters that may be the symbol or the benchmarking of an ideal person. Rama is the symbol of the duty of son and king. Sita is the duty of wife and Lakshman is the symbol of duty of brother. Then Hanuman, duty of devotee, and Bharat, the brother of Ram, a brother and a prince of moral and ethical code of conduct because he doesn't accept the throne even if the Ram has gone to the exile. Bharat denies his mother that when Ram is there, my elder brother deserves the throne. But since he is following his duty, I will also follow my duty. So he just went to the forest and took the sandals or what you call the paduka or the sandals of Lord Rama, and he put the Paduka on the throne, and he ruled for another 14 years in the name of elder brother Lord Rama. So this is the ethical code of conduct. And again, the Ram, the elder brother, the eldest son, he is just for the sake of the promise done by his father to his mother. He is following the Vachan. That's why in this Raghuvansh, the very famous adage is Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Ai, Pran Jai Par Vachan Na Jai. So Dashrath died for the sake of his Vachan, and Ram is following the Vachan given by his own father. These are the ideals of life. So everyone, Urmila, the wife of Lakshman, is also following the Pati Dharma, because she did not sleep on the luxurious bed, because she considered that my husband is lying on the bed, lying on the ground in the forest along with his brother. So why I should just take the facility of the luxuries of the palace? So she also spent a life almost like a forest exile, because she was a devoted wife to Lakshmana, an epitome of love, obligations, and submission for her husband. So every character is a symbol of the ethical ideals in the life. The Ramayana is, that's why it's not confined to a religious book. Rather, it's a book of the humanity, spirituality, ethical code of conduct, and whatnot. So obedience and sacrifice is another teaching of Ramayana. Ram accepts exile without complaint, upholding truth and obedience. Bharata rules as Rama's representative, not as a usurper. Or victory of good over evil is another teaching. Rama's victory over Ravana symbolizes moral victory over ego, desire, and arrogance. It was not a battle for the kingdom or for the achievement of some royal title, but it was a victory over ego. And ideal governance, that is called the Ram Raj, what he established based on justice, equality, and compassion. No one was unhappy or unjustly treated in Rama's kingdom, that is in Yuddha Kand, it is mentioned. Then devotion, bhakti, Hanuman's devotion to Ram teaches selfless service and humility, and then equality and compassion. Shabri, the tribal devotee, and Kevat, the boatman, and Hanuman, Jamvant, non-human species, they also receive the equal love and affection from Lord Rama, the divine grace, and showing inclusiveness and universality of love. Then again, you see, regarding the kingship, governance, and law system in the Ramayana, we find that Ramayana is not only a religious and moral text like Mahabharata, but also a political and administrative treatise reflecting the ideals of Raj Dharma, duties of a king. It represents the ideal model of kingship known as Ram Rajya, symbol of peace, justice, and prosperity. The epic illustrates how ethical governance and moral leadership are the foundations of law and order in society. The main references to kingship and governance appear in Ayodhya Kand regarding administration and exile, Yuddha Kand, war, diplomacy, and justice, and Uttar Kand, governance after return and moral dilemmas. Regarding the concept of kingship or the Raj and Rajdhan, we find that divine and ethical nature of kingship is widely discussed in Ramayana. The king is regarded as the upholder of dharma, a representative of divine will on earth. Ayodhya Kand describes King Dashrath as Dharmatma, one who rules according to righteousness and truth. The king's duty is to protect the people, his praja, his subject, uh, ensures justice and prevalent adharma. Words of a pious man, that is vachana, are authority of truth. That is, I have just recited Raghukul Reet Sada Chaliyai. However, it appears in Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas, and it is associated with this the vansh of Rama, that is Raghukul. And Kalidas also mentioned this tradition in his Raghuvansham also. Kingships as duty, not privilege. Kingship is viewed as sacrifice and service, not enjoyment of power. Rama's acceptance of exile, despite being the rightful heir, here reflects the primacy of moral duty, that is dharma, over political authority. Rama is an ideal man and king. He is called the Maryada Purushottam. It combines divine qualities with human virtues, justice, truth, compassion, and self-control. So Lord Rama ruled his subjects as a father cares for his children. This is the Raj Dharma, what Ramayana establishes, the basis of Ram Rajya. And these are certain qualities of an ideal king on your screen: truthfulness, satya, self-control, indriya nigraha, justice, nyaya, compassion, daya, wisdom and counsel, buddhi and mantrana, public welfare, that is prajahit. So, system of governance in Ramayana, we find council of ministers was there, that is called the Mantri Parishad. Sumantra, Vasishtha and Jabali act as guides in administration and ethics. Then administrative divisions were also there. Ayodhya was divided into provinces and towns with local officers. Census, taxation and defense systems were organized by ministers. And military administration was also there. The Ayodhya army was disciplined, organized and loyal. Kishkinda Kand, the Yuddha Kand describe military alliances and war strategies showing leadership, logistics and moral warfare. And then Rama's war against Ravana was fought as a Dharma Yuddha, righteous war, avoiding cruelty and respecting rules of combat. So these were the principles of Ram Raj. Again, regarding the law and justice system, concept of dand, law and punishment. Dand is the instrument to maintain order. In Ram's rule, punishment was fair, corrective and proportionate, not revengeful. Justice is to ensure moral order, not mere legality. Legal procedure and accountability, even the king is subject to dharma and public accountability. For example, Sita's Agni Pariksha, though controversial, shows king's commitment to moral standard and public trust. In Uttarakhand, Rama's exiled Sita after hearing public doubt, symbolizing supremacy of public opinion, that is the Lok Dharma, over personal emotion. Then equality before law. The law applies to all, rich or poor, human or divine. Shabri's episode shows the non-discriminating, inclusive nature of Raj Dharma. Then justice based on compassion. Rama's justice is tempered with mercy. For example, after defeating Ravana, Ram performs Ravana's last rites with respect, it illustrates the daya, compassion even for enemies. And Mahabharata and Ramayana, widest publication, it is one of the widest the publications in the world literature, published in all forms and all major languages globally. And translations with pictorial illustrations during Mughal period was also done. We have already discussed in some other lectures. Rajmnama was the title given to Mahabharata's translation during Akbar's period in 1582. And another Ramayana was translated by Dara Shuko, titled Nazmul Khushtar and by Abdul Qadir Badayuni. And one translation in Persian by Sumer Chand is also available in Raza Library, Rampur in UP. Then Mahabharata and Ramayana for children, moral education is also available. In this nation also recently during 90s, two TV serials became very popular. Ramayana by Ramanand Sagar and Mahabharata by B.R. Chopra. So that took the Ramayana and Mahabharata to door story, and it became so popular. For children, understanding Bal Mahabharata and Bal Ramayana was introduced by NCERT in 2005. On your screen, these are the pictures, the title pages of the NCERT books, Bal Ram Katha and Bal Mahabharata. And then Amar Chitra Katha, one of the very renowned comic series for the children. It also introduced these two great epics in a children readable format, Mahabharata and Valmiki Ramayana. On your screen, you may see. Then schools and colleges also included them in curriculum for moral and ethical fabric of socio-cultural life. So, to conclude, both epics present kingship as a sacred duty, Rajdharma, based on justice, truth and compassion rather than power. The ideal ruler is one who subordinates personal desires to the welfare of the people and upholds dharma in governance. Then both epics emphasize that law and justice must serve morality, not mere punishment or authority. Consultation, accountability and public welfare form the essence of good governance in these epics. And lastly, the vision of kingship in Indian epics remains a timeless model of ethical leadership and moral statecraft. So, that's the end of today's discussion. So, I am leaving you with this beautiful quote of Socrates: "An unexamined life is not worth living." Thank you very much. See you in the next lecture. God bless you.